so let's take out the comments for the draw, because we've dealt with that. We know what it takes to be a draw. If player 1 is the same as player 2. And we've got these three conditions now, a 1, a 2, or a 3. And I'm going to write some statements to manage that. And I'm going to introduce you to a new term that you need to know, and it's called a nested if statement. So here I've got one if statement, but here where the red is, I'm going to do another if statement, but it's inside this if statement. In fact, it's inside this part of the else. So that is called a nested if statement. So what I'm going to do is check out these values here. So I'm going to say that if, and I'm going to put it in brackets because I'm going to do a bit of maths. I'm going to say that if player 1 plus player 2, so the values that they got here, I'm going to add them together as I did here, and I'm going to say if that equals 1, so if that equals 1, what I can say, and I'm going to say that now, is print, I'm going to say paper wins. We need to look at this in a little bit more detail later on. So we add the two scores together. If the two scores is equal to the 1, then the paper wins. So I'm going to do the next part, which is my elif, because I've got 3 conditions here, so I can't just use an else, because else would mean that it could only be 2 or 3. I've got 3 conditions, so I need to check for the next one, and it's exactly the same. If player 1 plus player 2, so it's only going to reach here if when we added them together it didn't equal 1, so it's only going to reach here if it's either 2 or 3. So I'm going to check to see if it's 2, and if it is 2, then what we've got here is that the rock wins. So I'm going to put that in there, print rock wins. Now I could do another elif statement, but there's only one more to do, so I'm going to finish it off with an else statement and not even bother doing the maths. I don't need to. So if it wasn't a draw, if paper didn't win, if rock didn't win, then obviously scissors won. So I'm going to just put into here print scissors win. And basically I've got my game. I can figure out who won the game. So I'm going to save that as rock paper scissors.py. That will do me nicely. Yeah. And I'm going to run my game and see what happens. Oops, scissors wins. Let's close the shell down so that we can see it to begin with. Let's run the game again. Now, ideally, I'd like to figure out whether scissors wins, rock wins, paper wins, or if it's a draw. I'd like to see all of those 4 statements before I move on. Papers wins. So I've had scissors, I've had paper. This could take a while, which is why it's always good to put it in a loop. So paper wins again. So let's put that into a loop. Let's run it 10 times for index in range 10. And I'm going to indent everything here. And I'm going to run it, so it's going to run the game 10 times. Hopefully I'm going to see all 3 of these and not an error. Okay, so we've got it's a draw. We've got paper wins, rock wins. We haven't got any scissors wins. So let's see if we can run the program again and get that. and here we've got it. So we've got scissors wins, paper wins, rock wins, and it's a draw. So we've got all the possible outcomes, no apparent errors. So it looks like we've got a game on our hands. The game works. What we really need to do now is sort of figure out who won, whether it was player 1, whether it was player 2, and take our mathematical concept, because we only dealt with numbers here, and turn it into a game that is a bit meaningful for the user using the terms rock, paper and scissors. So we'll start looking at that in the next video.